and welcome to the Comic-spiracy, episode 565, take 2. My name is Ryan Higgins, and this is the week of, I still forgot the date, Sunday, November 13th, 2022. Something does not want this podcast to record, but we're going to try anyway. Who's here this week with me?
Brock Sager.
Kevin, Lane, and Toby. All right, let's roll.
Slow.
This is Kevin.
Whoa, out the chute. Let's go.
Lane, say hello.
Hello.
Okay, people know your voice. Toby, say hello. There you go. There's those guys. Okay. Well, what I was saying before we were really interrupted and the entire podcast crashed was, apparently everyone in the comic industry is death. Death is all around us constantly. And I don't really, this is just like a horrible podcast. This is going to be an awful podcast because all sorts of people have died, like real people, not like comic book deaths where it's fake and they come right back, like actual real people. And then we're talking about Black Panther, which is all about death. So
we can talk about that fake death stuff too.
Yeah, that's fun to talk about. But we got to cover the real news here. This is a real serious news journalistic podcast, Brock, where we have facts and long reporting.
What the fuck podcast am I on? Where the shit?
So normally our movie podcast tend to be just a movie podcast, but we have a little catch up here and other stuff to talk about. I'm feeling we're going to probably end up talking more about at least Kevin Conroy soon. I know I want Charlie on here. But we're off. We had what the hell was the episode? Black Panther, Black Adam episode. So our podcast schedules have been all screwed up.
You were sick.
I don't believe we talked about. And I was sick last week. I don't believe we talked about Kevin O'Neill.
No.
Co-creator
Correct.
of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen,
No.
artist.
We had talked about Pacheco 2 times.
Right. So Kevin O'Neill, artist, creator of martial law, and probably for most people listening, co-creator and artist on League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, passed away. That was in what was this? That was a week ago. Right, that was about a week ago. So it was like, beginning of November. Other than League, I don't have a ton of history with his art. Obviously, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is enough, I think, for most people. But I know martial law. I've never really read too much of it. But obviously, League is ignore the movie. Right, the comics, fantastic.
I didn't mind the movie so much.
Yeah.
It's more entertaining than Catwoman.
Well, I
low bar.
Yeah, I wish I had more to say about him. He really reminds me of like kind of that Mike Mignola, Guy Davis, that like school of very sketchy, very angular, very detailed when they want to be. Just that real British style that you see a lot of in books like League and the other books those guys have done. A very a lot of that Vertigo style Toby hates. If anyone has anything else more to say,
It's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I did like this. Like we got so much to talk about here. I not want to like sound insensitive, but it's just like every podcast we do now, like people are dying constantly. Like we've hit that point in comics where there is a lot of people that are getting older, and it's very unfortunate.
I think that the I can't remember.
His art's amazing.
Yeah, I can't remember what year this was, but I think the famous story with O'Neill is the when he does the Green Lantern. I think it's a Green Lantern annual, if I'm remembering right. This is like when he's first breaking into the U.S. market, and the Comics Code rejects the story because of the art.
Yeah.
So that is the ultimate mic drop for a professional artist. Never mind the content that your art is so out there that the code can't handle it. Awesome. That is he should have that on his Hall of Fame plaque.
Well, I think and that's what I said. When you look at guys like Like I really Guy Davis really a very similar style in my mind. But even guys like Mignola. I mean, there's a lot of similarities here, and I don't get it. Like I read that story. It's such a weird one. Like, why would they reject his
It's
art
censors.
just as
Why do
art?
they
Like,
censor anything? Like,
yeah, but that doesn't seem like it's such a weird thing to do. But definitely go pick up A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen if you haven't. Terrific book. The design work, the detail is just incredible on everything he does. Related, Carlos Pacheco, who we did talk about, who we just talked about having retired from comics due to being diagnosed with ALS, or he at least revealed that he was diagnosed with ALS earlier this year. Like, that just happened. Did anyone know that he was like that
no.
sick? I don't know that. I don't think anyone knew, but Carlos Pacheco passed away. Artist on all sorts of Marvel and DC books. Probably most well known for Avengers Forever with Kurt Busiek. Fantastic book. And did Aerosmith, worked with Aerosmith also with Kurt Busiek. Really, really great artist, really great superhero artist. But I had no idea that he was sick. Like ALS is not good, but I don't know that anyone realized he was this far along already. So he died just a couple days ago, just days after Kevin O'Neill. So, we talked about him when we talked about him being diagnosed with ALS. Again, any other comments or thoughts? Feel free to jump in here.
I mean, it was a shock that it came so quickly after the news, if like this is going to be his last work and all that stuff. And we had talked about those things, and it was like, okay, well,
yeah, that was it the Ant-Man cover or Avengers cover or whatever.
Damage Control, yeah.
Or Damage Control, yeah, with Ant-Man on it. Yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
But like that was just kind of like, whoa, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's like, huh? Like okay, like,
yeah, very surprising. I admit I don't know all that much about ALS. I didn't, he must have been much further along than a lot of people knew. And yeah, his death was very sudden. Very fortunate. This one is a little bit different. Like I said, I know I want to try to get Toby on here. Charlie on here. I feel like we may have slightly more to say here. I don't want to just brush it off, but maybe next week or the week after we can actually have a kind of bigger conversation here. But then also out of nowhere, just 2 days ago, Kevin Conroy, longtime voice actor, obviously of Batman from the Batman animated series and multiple other projects he came after, passed away from cancer after a seemingly very short battle with cancer. He was only 66 years old. And like I said, we're not going to do it justice here. This could be an entire episode where we talk about Kevin Conroy and kind of his relationship with the comic community at large and Batman the Animated Series and in all his different roles as Batman through the years and his personality and there's just a lot to say. Like I said, I feel like we're not going to do it justice here. I almost don't want to go too much into it, but we have to say something. So it sucks. Like, what a week. What a fucking week. Like, what the hell? like, what is going on here? This is crazy. I don't like this. Like, we've lost a couple. I mean, we've lost some superstars this year, and it's just not stopping. Like, so I don't know. Oh, what's up, 2022? Oh, what you're doing? Stay away from the comic industry next year. At least some of these guys alone. It's rough. It's rough. Yeah. Again, everyone have a minute or two, but I think I want to save something maybe a little bigger for a week or two from now, and I'll talk with Charlie and find out when he's available to be on here, and we can maybe do a little bit something bigger, say something a little bit more. But yeah. give a minute or two, whatever you guys got.
I mean, for me, he's been just the staple Batman in kind of those other mediums, right? In cartoons, from Batman the Animated Series, to him really kind of hitting home with the Batman Arkham games and just being, that voice that you hear, much like Mark Hamill is the Joker to a lot of us. So yeah, and just I think finding out like who he was as a person, a little bit before this happened, and him coming out with a Pride, kind of comic. Was it earlier this year?
Yeah. I mean, he was publicly gay. I mean, that wasn't.
Yeah, but it was more.
But it was that comic was pretty. Yeah, was pretty. Yeah, pretty good.
But again, it was like there's just a lot to it, and I think kind of those of us that grew up in the '90s with him as our Batman, a little bit. We had Michael Keaton, we had him. So it's rough. So that's mine.
Yeah. Don't all jump right in. Guys, gonna wake up, need some coffee. What's going on?
Okay.
Sunday night. Come on, let's do it. Party. Hello, Toby.
I was deferring
Kevin.
to everybody else.
Go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's not much more to say. I mean, we all grew up
I
with
got a lot
him,
to say. I have a ton to say, but
the only thing I'm going to say is that I'm just glad that we got to see him besides, out from behind the curtains once at least in the
Crisis.
Yeah, the Crisis crossover.
Yeah.
Like, because some people never knew who he was. He's just a voice that no one could associate a face with.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad he got his proper credit there.
Yeah.
Can we just acknowledge also that he was an awesome guy at cons and with fans, super nice. And any, I mean, I can't speak for every, but I'm just saying in any fan interaction I was ever involved in or around or nearby or could see and hear, always just an awesome, sweet guy who had time for everybody.
Yeah, I've heard he's, sometimes these celebrities, I think his voice actor is probably pretty tough. You're getting, people yelling at you all the time to say the line and stuff. It's sure it could be frustrating, but he definitely seemed like he was very happy in the role and happy with the just with the way people treated him and respected him. So
yeah, and it's just the trend is just continues. I mean, like, look, I don't know that much about Kevin O'Neill as a person, but Carlos Pacheco, by all accounts, just a super warm, sweet guy. Conroy, Perez. I mean, it's just like that. It's already bad, but that is just kind of the extra twist of the knife.
Yeah.
It's like, don't be nice in comic books, guys. Start being mean.
You live a lot longer when you're mean, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe not. Oh, maybe. Some of these old cranky old guys live for quite some time. Yeah, and I mean that's I've talked about this once or twice. I've been going to a lot of concerts recently. I've been realizing everyone that I like is much older, so I'm taking any opportunity to see some of these guys, and that also applies to comic creators and voice actors and actors in our community and stuff. Yeah, don't miss your opportunity.
Well, I got my Fan Expo tickets. I'm gonna knock some out the end of this month.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll probably do something else. Probably do something more. I'm in the animated series for everyone here and probably a lot of people listening. I mean, it was such an important part of our youth or early-ish comic experiences.
Well, he even even from then, I mean, the video games, we grew up with it as kids in the cartoon, and then as adults, we evolved to these video games that
there's a whole other generation of people that know him from the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's he's lasted. He's one of these creators that have just been 30 years been the voice of a character. It's hard to
To add one more thing, not about Conroy, but just to circle back before we leave this sad section behind.
It's not gonna. It doesn't get any better.
Well, I'm just saying. I just look at my New York Times subscription, and Alan Moore wrote the obit for Kevin O'Neill in the Times. So I think you can read it. I think you can find it without a paywall.
Yeah, I think there's a. I read an unedited version. He had like a longer version that I think. That, yeah.
So anybody wants to learn more about Kevin O'Neill, Google Alan Moore obit for him.
Yep. He's on there.
But I will say this: like, I think Kevin hit hard. Conroy hit hard because it was Friday, right? That the news dropped about Kevin. Not this Kevin, the other Kevin. God, there's so many Kevins. But like, part of it is even just with what we're talking about for the rest of the podcast. Like, after watching Black Panther: Wakanda Forever and then this happening, it's just like, that's just like, God,
a lot of death,
man.
A lot of death.
Jesus.
We'll have more to say about all these in the future. We are going to move on to Black Panther.
A Batman animated series short tribute would be a good Kevin Conroy send off.
Yeah.
For time when there's time to prep for it.
Yeah. We're going to talk about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever now. Little to no spoiler in the front. We'll warn you when we're in full spoiler talk. So if you've not seen it yet and you want to avoid that, we'll give you a little heads up there. Normally, when we ever do these, I kind of just go around and we all give a minute or two. But maybe do a little different this time. I don't know, just kind of a free form talk here, no spoilers up front. There's a lot of fucking comic movies. There's a lot of fucking comic movies and TV shows. I'm just getting. I don't want to get to that point, but I am just getting to that point where it's like, boy, there's a lot. There's just a lot, and when you've done something for the first time, or maybe like the 10th time even, you're like, oh, that's cool. That's still cool. 100 times later, it's like, just going through the motions. It's just like, yeah, okay. Another comic movie. Another Marvel movie. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, okay. Yeah, some of it's the same. Some of it's different. What's it mean? Like, I just have no real opinion. I have one strong opinion on this movie, and everything else is just like, yeah, sure, it's just more stuff. Like, and I'm really concerned that I'm not like, it's not a burnout. Like, I don't want to watch them. I do like to watch them. I just don't have anything to say half the time. It's like, yeah, wonderful podcast. I'm sure this will be 3 hours somehow. But I mean, I can't be the only one, right? And then this is not just a Marvel thing. This is everything. There's just a lot. Like, that monkey's paw has curled the entire fist, Kevin. I know you're doing it. Like, it's just a lot.
It's not only curled, but it's uncurled and then curled back again. That's how many wishes you've gotten.
Yeah, Yeah, it's just tough to get excited these days, and I'm sorry for everyone that is excited. And if you're young and you're like, oh, I've only seen a few of these, like, I'm sure it's still amazing. But when, like, there's just a lot, and I'm not. And of course, I'm excited about some of them, right? I mean, I think when it's something a little different is when I get more excited. So the FF. The X-Men to a degree. I'm excited to see what Marvel will do with those. I'm excited to see what James Gunn is going to do with DC, because there needs to be some big course correction and changes. Something like Peacemaker was so different than anything we've had. It just felt refreshing, right? But when I'm watching the trailer for Ant-Man, I'm like, it's just more of the same stuff. I don't know.
I mean, the movies reflect the comics. I mean, there's so many comics out there that you've read. How many stories about heroes have an argument, they fight each other, but then they fight the villain. Like, like you have a misunderstanding. Like, it's the same kind of.
And I totally understand. When people get older, if they've been reading comics their entire life, the 50th time Superman and Batman are fighting, you kind of roll your eyes because you've seen it done so many times and probably better before, right? So I get that. And then I get there's an excitement around the younger people getting into the stuff for the first time, and this is the first time they're seeing it, so it's amazing, right? I totally understand that. It's just weird to acknowledge that I'm now in that demo, that I understand, right? I now get it. I'm like, oh, yeah, we've all kind of been there. We've all kind of done this over and over and over again. And that's not a fair review of Black Panther. But Black Panther is fine. I put it on about par with the first one. It's okay. Like, it's got some fun parts. It's got some misses. It's a long movie. It's a long movie.
Oh, you don't need to remind me. I bought my ticket not knowing how long the movie was. And I was like, 10:30? I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Fuck.
No. And there's actually very little I dislike in it. I have and again, we'll save it for the very end because it is the post-credit scene. I have a lot. That is the one thing I have a lot to say about. I have a lot to say about the post-credit scene. We'll get there eventually. And Toby's
fucking gone.
So whatever. I give up, Toby. I give up, Toby. I give up.
So wait, are we doing the general comments or not doing them?
Yeah, we're gonna do general comments here. We I've had this in I've kind of been like, there's nothing in it that I dislike. Like, there's stuff I would prefer have been different, but overall, I thought it was fine. I have a couple problems, but overall, it's it's a B. It's like a B plus.
It's Ryan Cooper, right?
Coogler.
Like, I mean, the guy knows how to make a movie.
Yeah, no,
he can make a solid movie. Like, boom. Like,
I don't think, and it's not fair, right? It's not fair to say, that you're going to get the same result as the first one. The first one, regardless of whatever my personal opinion is of like the movie as a movie, the cultural significance of that first movie will never be touched again. That is a high water mark that will never be met. This movie's doing well, but it'll not get anywhere close to the money that first one made. It'll miss it by $500 million. Again, this movie will be very successful, but it's not going to make anywhere near the sort of money the first movie made. That was an extremely important cultural moment, not just for Marvel and comic book related stuff, but for cinema in general. So this movie always was, especially with Chadwick Boseman's death, this movie was always going to be fighting an uphill battle. And I think it did pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just there's a lot of fucking comic movies. Brock, give me a minute or two.
So, besides going to Wakanda Forever at 10:30 at night on a Thursday, luckily it was a holiday the next day, so woohoo! But I had to take my truck in early in the morning. So, yeah, I mean, I went in, just seeing one trailer or something. I didn't really kind of catch anything else. I was really curious how they were going to pull off the loss of Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. I think they did a really solid job with it. It was done very well, very tastefully. Yeah, I liked what they did overall in the movie. Yeah, I mean, it's it's the same. Like, okay, I'm watching a X character movie. Okay, cool. Like, it didn't deviate from too much from anything that that's kind of on par for what Marvel movies are right now. It luckily didn't have the level of humor of Love and Thunder or Ragnarok, so
thank God.
There's a positive there. It did have humor when it needed humor. I think the introduction of characters went very well, especially with like Riri and Namor, to name a few. Like, I think, yeah, it's a solid film. Definitely a what's the best way to describe it? It's definitely a I mean, we've been talking about death, but it's definitely a journey in, like, what is it? In loss, right? And I think that hits home for a lot of people. For me, with my dad, I'm losing my dad this year, so for me that kind of hit home. But yeah, overall, I think it was just a really solid movie, and water explosions are weird, but they work. Okay, so that's my 2 cents for now.
Kevin, give me a few.
Okay. I think I have. Well, no. I think I have 3 points, but one of them is the thing that you want to talk about later. So
Any big spoilers?
Yes. So non-spoilers. Because some of our listeners, I know, and a lot of comic fans also like pro wrestling. I will make this comparison. In the 90s, when the NWO faction started in WCW, it kind of upended the traditional, like, bad guy, good guy, because suddenly you had bad guys who were cool. And so it kind of threw off the whole equation. And at least at the start, it was kind of awkward in the sense that there was no one to root for and no one to root against because everybody liked everybody. And that's kind of how I felt in this movie, is because there was no villain. There was nobody who I wanted to see get their ass kicked, and there's nobody who I wanted to see triumph. So I'm kind of just watching events happen on the screen while never being fully emotionally dialed in because I had no rooting interest. To use another sports metaphor, it would be like watching 2 NFL teams play each other, and I like both teams, so I'm just kind of sitting there, or dislike both teams would work equally well. So I have nothing to get hooked into. And so I never quite got taken on the full ride because it never, other than the T'Challa stuff, there was no emotional hook for me for the rest of the story. The other point I will make briefly is it was funny watching this after seeing Black Adam, so soon after seeing Black Adam, because this is not the comic book Namor. Obviously, it's not. And Black Adam and Namor are culturally different background peoples and from different cultures and points in history, et cetera, but they're presented in these movies as thematically similar characters. And seeing Ryan Coogler, and I don't know the actor's name who played Namor, I wouldn't try to butcher if I did know it, but seeing what a filmmaker with something to say and actual ideas can present just makes Black Adam look like such a cheesy, cheap cartoon, even more than it did when I walked out of the theater. When you see a real character with something actually, no pun intended here, below the surface in the hands of a real director versus someone who's just basically filming a video game and using any quiet scenes as just a quick excuse to get onto the next fight. Wow, this really stood out in a stark contrast, seeing it so soon after that, and not in a complimentary way to the DC side. But those are my 2 main things. I will save the last thing for later on.
Toby, you back with us? Hit me. No spoilers. Keep it light. What you think? Oh, you could say more than that. Glad we have you on this podcast. Would you like to say anything else?
Is he just screaming and we don't hear it? Like, what the
Okay, when we move to more spoiler talk, maybe you'll have more to say. Lane, did you watch it?
Yes.
You see it? You did? Okay. Yeah, what do you think?
Knowing what Toby said to me before I watched it, I knew, like I kind of figured, Ryan hates what Toby likes, Toby hates what Ryan likes. So I knew I was going to be in the middle, and I think I'm right in the middle.
I didn't hate it.
Exactly.
I didn't hate it at all.
Right, but it's always, you guys are the opposite end of the spectrum all the time. And like Kevin said, I think part of the problem I had is that you don't really have a hero or a villain to root for so much, because I felt like the point of the film kind of kept swaying, and there were a lot of weird little story points that to me were really, really questionable. So I'm not going to go into detail, but like, I almost felt like if they just cut the MCU part out, it would have been a better film. Like, when I say MCU, I'm not talking like being Panther, being Namor. I mean, like, some of the extra characters I don't think we needed.
There's definitely like a whole other movie in here that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can get into some real spoilers here and talk about some of those elements here. So we'll be full spoiler from here on out. So no severe negatives here, which is good. Yeah, this isn't Love and Thunder. So I mean, I guess start with the one problem I had from like the point of view of the movie, like from a narrative structural point of view, is I feel like there was not only all the stuff with what the hell's his name? Shit. It's the actor's name. I can't remember his name.
Who?
From Sherlock
Martin
and
Freeman.
all the other stuff. Martin Freeman.
Watson.
I'm assuming that's what you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Completely unnecessarily, just the entire, all that stuff, all the stuff with Contessa,
yeah.
like all that stuff could have been taken out, right? Like, to me, it just felt like, I mean, I guess I had to kind of put him in there, but it just felt so unnecessary. It could have been any generic people attacking them in the warehouse. Like, it didn't have to be connected to anything. It just felt like they're like, well, we don't really have a plot for these guys. But my actual bigger problem is, I feel like they went over stuff too much. You have the same beats. You have the opening with the death of Black Panther. It's like, okay, that's emotional and it sets up stuff. But then you have an identical set with the mom, the queen who gets killed by Namor later in the movie. I just felt like, why are we doing the exact same story twice? My only assumption is that was going to happen in the original movie. And then they're like, well, fuck, we also have to kill Black Panther too, so I guess we'll just keep these series of losses building up for Shuri. It just felt kind of like they were just going through the same exact set of sequences a second time. And Kevin, I mean, I know you said, Black Adam, felt cartoonish in nature versus Namor, but to me, like, the story elements were all fine through the movie, but at the end of the day, this is a big superhero movie, and I thought the action was pretty lacking.
I wasn't talking about the action. I was talking about the character.
I know, but it's still a superhero movie. I would have taken 20, 30 minutes less talking and crying about dead people and 30 more minutes of Manape putting the smackdown on some Atlanteans. Oh, I mean, whatever the fuck they are. We'll deal with that in a second. I wish they would have gone one direction or the other. You do your big superhero Namor fight movie, or you do this sad, slower movie about loss and the passing of the torch. I feel like the movie is caught in the middle of these two stories, and it's not long enough to do both, and it's not short enough to do one.
Well, my argument, Ryan, would be this is the perfect material for a Disney Plus series, where you explore these two. You explore these two kingdoms and how they come together and come apart. What this is missing is Act 3, which is the two sides team up
to fight something.
Yes. It just stops after Act 2. I think that's what you're maybe having some of your problem with.
Yeah, it just I there's a lot of like there's nothing in the movie that I disliked. I don't know. I feel the action stuff sort of takes away from the more serious,
the somber moments and stuff.
Yeah, the more serious tones, and the death of the Queen is just gonna pale in comparison to the death of Black Panther. So they should have flipped those or something. Or killed the Queen at the same time, like done something else. I don't know. I feel like there's just and I can't blame the movie. Probably, I assume, because some of this was already written before Chadwick Boseman died, or they already had some plan, right? I mean, some of this was had to have already been okay. We know the beats, how we're gonna fill this other story sort of in here. So, yeah, there is. Like, Black Adam was dumb but fun, right? Like, and that's fine. Like, I don't mind dumb but fun. There's nothing in this that's, well, I got one problem, but there's nothing in this that's bad, but it's, it just doesn't, it just kind of doesn't coalesce.
The problem I think that you're trying to hit on is that the movie being sophomore, right? To, like you said, a cultural phenomenon, to this big giant thing, and then having this huge curveball thrown at you in just because it feels like the movie feels like if you just added Black Panther to this, and it was Black Panther fighting Namor and Shuri and the that and all that, and then him going up against Namor, and it's like families behind him and all that stuff. The movie would flow a lot better, because the thing is having that the what you lack with the Queen dying is when Chadwick Boseman, when T'Challa was there, the Queen was trying to get him to be that tradition, that following, taking out the mantle, doing all this stuff. And Shuri was down, just behind here, not involved with it. Now it's, you don't have T'Challa and you have to bring Shuri up to this traditional level, right? Which was the whole kind of point behind the burning of the ceremonial garb and, following tradition after all of this. And I think that that's kind of fast tracked so much here that, for that, the Shuri's character, you're fast tracked into, you're now the leader, you're now this, you're so many different hats all at once. And all of this stuff is happening all around you. And it's just so much is going on that, again, I think, it was too short to get all of it in properly. And but it wasn't too short to just do a really tighter film. And I think that it's, dealing with tradition and grief and all of this stuff are huge subjects to begin with. and then throwing on a villain, so to speak, that's not really a villain, that's literally kind of a copy of Wakanda. You know, it's a lot to do in just one movie. So, like, I can see where it's hard to be like, what the heck? Like, so much is going on. And then you have that extra stuff that kind of feels like, why is this even in here with Ross and what's her name?
Yeah.
Because like for
Contessa
for most
Val.
of it, I was like, okay, I can see this.
Everett Ross.
Huh?
Everett Ross.
I think it's Everett. Yeah.
Ross Everett. Everett Ross. That's his name?
He's the colonizer. But again, I think that it was a tough challenge for the, for the, the people involved in making this movie. And I think they did the best they could with what they were given. But yeah, I almost feel that, if there was a Disney Plus kind of, 10 to 12 episode kind of thing, I would have been like, things could have gotten fleshed out a little bit better. You would have had a little bit more time to, I think, explore things and, build things up, with Namor and the blue people.
Yeah. No more.
No love.
Yeah, no.
love.
And it is, I think, with all things considered, they actually do a pretty damn good job in the movie of making Shuri step up and giving her the path to step up to take the mantle. I thought she was whatever in the first movie, like kind of nothing. She's pretty good in this movie. I was more pleasantly surprised. She does a good job. I like her a lot. I know we haven't really talked much about Riri Williams. I mean, we'll talk about some of the other characters here in a few, but I think all things considered, they did a pretty good job with this movie, given the circumstances of not recasting. Now that's a whole other question, right? And I guess we gotta save the bigger conversation for the end. We gotta save the recasting decision and any of those conversations for the end.
Well, what in, like, the movie had a lot going on and it had a lot of stuff that it needed to do, and I think it didn't necessarily give you a full like helping of any one thing, but it gave you a lot, a decent amount of a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I think there's a it's easy to see where this story would have gone if Black Panther was still around. I kind of like I said, the death of the Queen had to be like in the initial, like, okay, well, she's getting killed off here, and that's the motivation. We're going to push this forward. But it does sort of, it just feels like they sort of retread on some of the same topics.
Well, I think again, if Black Panther was there, it would have only been the Queen, right?
Right. But I think that's a big enough motivation to get to where they get to, right? With Namor, with Namor, and I think, and again, I hate to keep saying the post-credit scene, but I like it just covers so much of what I need to say later in the podcast. I mean, we're just so firmly in like fanfic territory now with the Marvel movies, that it's hard for me to care about changes anymore, because we're just this is a guy that lives underwater named Namor that has wings on his feet. And I guess he's kind of an asshole sometimes. Like, that's the beginning and end of the connection to the comic book Namor, and that's fine. He's good. He's a cool character. He's I like the story they set up with him.
He's more
The
fleshed
origin
out.
was
He's more
interesting.
Kevin said he's more fleshed out than Black Adam's character was. Being very
Sure, but
similar characters, but I think Namor's, his is fleshed out a lot more, and you get a lot
yeah,
more.
but I mean,
his
but I
motivation.
mean, it's it's not really the comics Namor in any real way, but it's fine. I like the changes. They looked cool. I will not even pretend to remember what they are called themselves. The Atlanteans, whatever the fuck they're calling him here. Look, Manape, the Atlanteans. I'm not saying anything else. I refuse. That's what they are. It's the Manapes, or that's Manape and the Atlanteans. That's just what I'm going to call them. Like, they were cool. They were neat. Sure, whatever. They're blue sometimes, not all the time. Okay, it's fine. Namor is blue. Okay, that's fine. He's friends. Atuma's like his general. Okay, sure, whatever. Like, again, nothing like the comic, but the names are right. They look cool. The fight was great. Like, their fighting stuff was great. Namor flying around was awesome. Like, I had no idea how they were going to do with that. Like, they didn't make the mistake. He doesn't fly like Superman, right? He jets around like a little bird. Like, I love the way Namor flied. Like, he looked awesome. Like, they did a really good job with his little winged feet and the way he sort of zipped around. I thought power wise was great. But again, yeah, this is a different character. So, my connection's like, oh, okay, I guess. I mean, sure, it can be Namor, but it's, not really anything like the character from the comic. But all right, but it was cool. It was neat. Yeah, it was all right. And I the whole. Well, I guess I have kind of a question. Like, so the whole plot is American scientist Shuri Williams finds
Riri
Williams. Shuri Williams. She's Riri Williams.
We're combining characters already.
Shuri goes to find Riri, and help her. And the Atlanteans and Namor are basically like, hey, Riri's little device is outing us. Why don't you help us fight back, Wakandians? And if you don't, I'll kill you. Okay? So if you don't help us, if you mention us to the world, we'll kill you. If you don't help us, we'll out ourselves and kill you. But the whole point their whole point, like, they want to stay hidden. They didn't want anyone finding out about them. So why do they then come and attack? Wouldn't they just like stay?
Yeah, that whole part doesn't make sense to me. Like,
yeah, I didn't quite understand. Like,
well, even
I mean, if it was Namor was like we have been, like, they have found us out. The time to strike is now. Join us, Wakanda. And if you don't, we'll kill you. Okay, fine, I get that. But his whole thing is, we want to stay hidden. Don't mention anything. Oh, you didn't mention anything, but you won't join us. So now we're just going to out ourselves anyway. It's like, what? Like, what the hell's the point of that? Doggos, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, even with that, like, it felt a little extreme because don't forget, like, Riri's machine, there's also a whole subplot about this BS about it was actually stolen from her, not for the real purpose, blah, blah, blah. But her machine found vibranium. It didn't find the vibranium in his area. It was just in the middle of the Atlantic.
Right, so, like, right, in the middle of randoms. But I mean, their thought was it could find us. But right. We gotta jump in the gun here a little bit, guys.
You're finding somewhere, but doesn't mean we're gonna find the rest of it. And I mean, like it, yeah. And then you're going to extreme measures just for this one thing. Like, okay, the one potential. Like, this doesn't seem like he's supposed to be this king of his group, but he seems to go from extremes of his own in terms of his ruling. Like, oh, he'll bring Shuri in and won't harm Shuri, but let's kill this scientist.
Well, I think the issue that I noticed with it was we have two kingdoms, and we have this following the kind of monarchy, this unwritten rules of like hostage taking and stuff like that when it's, royalty. It felt like there was this unwritten code that they were following of, well, because I'm royal, they can't really do anything to me. Like, does they agree to this? Like, there's this weird kind of medieval contract with them.
But yet they were still willing to fight her and Denai Guerrero's character to try to kill the scientist on the bridge.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like, you're going after a scientist that created the technology, but you're not like, okay, but technically the technology is already created. So why are you going after the scientist in the first, even if that scientist is dead, the technology is still there. Right. Like I think that was one of the weaker points for me was just,
well, yeah, I have to assume the CIA was like they were going to get all that paperwork, and they figured this all out eventually. So,
but it was weird to me that like for a kingdom like, Neymar's to not have spies and people in, like a network of things. I want to stay hidden. It's like shit. Wakanda still had a whole bunch of shit going on, and they were hidden. Right. It was because that's how the monarchs would operate. And it felt a little weird that a 500-year-old mutant didn't know that stuff. Like there was a couple things about him being a ruler that they fell a little short for me.
Well, in his defense, I mean, hard to have a bunch of spies and they'd all be blue. I don't think they can really do much.
You can have sympathizers,
which is fine.
They just you don't have scientists that they can take the blue out of you.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, some of this is just nitpicky stuff, but I liked Riri. I thought she was fine.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure how they were going to handle her. She still has the connection pretty heavy to Tony Stark, just not directly, right? So all Iron Man costumes look great. It is funny. I was thinking about this, how characters like Miss Marvel and Riri and America Chavez and some of these other characters are like exact to the comic. Looks, powers, origins, everything. And then, the old characters now are, when it started, all the early MCU stuff was dead on. Now it's like, Namor, kinda. And,
Well, the problem is they didn't have Sue. They didn't have Sue to seduce.
Kinda.
So. They didn't have Sue to seduce, so...
They didn't have what?
Sue to seduce.
Sue to seduce?
Sue Storm?
He's talking about Namor.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, I think it's funny that the newer characters are like exact to the comics, and the classic characters are being changed pretty heavily. But no, she was cool. I liked her powers. I liked her suit. I liked her old school suit, and then the new one at the end. It was pretty cool. I have much to say about her. I kind of like them introducing some of these newer characters in the bigger movies as supporting characters, because that's something they should do in the comics more, and they forget often, where they just get their own ongoing series without actually really like getting a setup.
Yeah.
So having someone like Riri introduced here makes sense to then, okay, now we can further explore her in a TV show down the road. So
I don't know.
Kevin, you've been quiet. Any thoughts on some of these broader topics?
I was going to defer to Toby. I've been talked.
Toby is for anyone listening to this podcast. You may have heard, because I'm not even going to bother trying to edit in the 5 things Toby said prior. Toby he just can't record. It just doesn't work. So if you heard me mention Toby earlier, and you heard no one reply, that's because it's all been taken out of the podcast. So Toby is out.
Well, I have never read a Riri Williams comic, so I have no. I know who it is, but I mean, I've never read anything with her in it. So this was my first exposure, and it just I'm going to come back to the Disney Plus comment. It just felt like a hat on a hat on a hat. Like there's too much stacked here. And what feels like the natural gravity of the movie would be a story of king versus king, which I know obviously that had to change.
Mhm.
But it just seems like with the vacuum of Black Panther, let's fill it with as many other characters as we can. And just, it's almost at times for me felt like going to a circus where like, hey, look over here, it's the lion tamer. Hey, look over here, it's the high wire act. Hey, look over here, it's the elephants doing tricks. Here's the clown car. Here. And it's just, there's nothing that was going on that I disliked. It all just felt like, let me take a breath for a minute. It's just too much. And so that was, she just kind of, I don't have anything bad to say about her. She just kind of got lost in the noise for me, ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
What about Namor? Yeah, good things to say at the beginning of the podcast.
I like the performance.
Spoiler light, but now spoiler free or spoiler full.
Yeah, I thought he was good. I thought the actor was good. I thought the performance was good. It was an interesting backstory. There were some nice scenes with him. The wings on the feet were cool. Yes, I'm a little baffled by. And again, we're getting into nitpicks with some of this, but I'm not sure why his mutation would be pointy ears. Like, it makes sense for the comic book Namor because the Atlanteans have pointy ears, but I'm not sure why that would be the thing that he had.
Speed in the water in the air.
His ears?
Yeah, it's just aerodynamics.
Yeah, sure. Mutant powers, whatever. Mutation.
I mean, it just my thought would just be, well, why didn't they all just have them? Like you just solve it. There, just hand wave it and say, we're able to breathe underwater, and our progeny came out all looking like this. Okay, done. Move on. Nobody would care. It's not like I was sitting there going, wait a minute, stop the story. I got to figure this out. It was cool. And this is what coming back to what I said at the beginning, is you've got two essentially armies that would in a typical story be nations that are under the boot of an outside colonial power. And they make the point with the conquistadors, with let's just call them the Atlanteans for the sake of argument. And then the Wakandans being on top, being a superpower rather than a subjugated country. That's all cool. And I think you could really explore it if you just slow down with the action.
Well, they didn't deal with that at all.
That's what I'm saying.
No, the Atlanteans are just like terrorists attack them, and then there's like one fight on a boat, and then the movie's kind of over.
These two armies should be allies, not enemies. And so if you had 10 episodes, take the time and explore it, like world build both of these places. Yeah. And sure, throw in some action in episode 11 and 12. Fine, great. But I don't know. I felt like it was, again, with no one to root for and no one to root against. I'm just kind of watching big actiony things happen with no like, oh no, or no sense of, oh, right on. Yes. It's just like, okay, cool. And then the next scene, okay, cool too. And then just repeat that as we go.
Yeah. But it's funny that you say like it's just kind of big actiony set pieces. Where one of my complaints was I feel like it was extremely light on action. So like I wanted 2 or 3 more action set pieces, not less. Like, and
I wanted less action and more world building. So I don't know. Nobody.
but that's what I mean. Where I think it's caught between 2 movies, right? Or it's caught between 2 stories.
Cut all of the Martin Freeman stuff. Cut all of the Julie Louis-Dreyfus stuff. Just go in with a hacksaw. I don't even mean like gracefully cut it out. Just literally in the old days with a film reel, just take scissors and just chop it out, literally. And then see what you've got left. And then, fill in those gaps with some more of these characters that people are there to see. No one's buying a ticket. Oh, what? Julie Louis-Dreyfus is in this? All right, I didn't care, but now I'm going to see it. Watch Veep for that if you want her.
Well, she's the new
Amanda Waller.
Yeah, I mean, she's the new Nick Fury, right? I mean,
yes,
so
but
you're going to get a lot of her and everything.
Look, I don't dislike either of those actors. I'm saying those characters should be on Disney Plus. Those characters should be on Disney Plus.
Well, they're the movie ones.
I know, but
right?
every scene with them, I just go, okay, why? Like, when can we get back to the reason people are here to watch this? It is not them.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not them.
Like, I didn't mind having Ross in it for the connection from the previous films. So, like, his...
How about one scene with him, Brock, at the beginning?
Yeah, like, one scene with him in the beginning, right? Or it was fine. But, like, dragging it out like they did, I think that was where the issue came. And it's like, oh, well, we had those bugged. We knew you were going to pick those up. And I'm just sitting there going...
well, they did nothing from that.
Yeah.
Like okay, you told us they did it, but okay, now what?
Yeah.
No consequences.
You know that they're talking about somebody else, but not researching whether there's somebody else. Like, I'm like, not to mention, like, with Wakandan technology and general technology to begin with, in the Atlanteans attack somebody on a bridge and there's no cell phone footage anywhere of a person randomly filming this shit. Like, huh? I just, like, there was nothing explained, right? Like, there was no, like, mist bubble of, like, that exploded and it was, like, a small EMP or so. I don't know, like...
Well, that is another one where I said, like, yeah, that's a pretty brazen attack on a public place for people that want to stay hidden. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a little, kind of, like, whatever.
Well, is it time to get to it?
Yeah, like, man, people are like, oh, record 3-hour podcasts about a movie. I just don't have that much to say. No, but I do have a lot to say about the post-credit scene.
Well,
Kevin,
let me say this first before you get to it. I loved the ending of this movie, the actual end, where she's burning the clothes on the fire, and you have that montage, and then this giant bombastic movie with all this shit going on ends on a close-up of a woman's face, and then it went to black. I was like, holy shit, what a great, unexpected ending. I was like, wow. It was not quite the degree of standing up and clapping for Mr. Mind, but dude, I was damn close because it was something so different and such an unexpected grace note. And then it goes into the credits. I was a happy camper. I'm like, all right, let's see what they're going to set up next for the next movie. And
well, I guess before let's actually, do you think Marvel? I mean, yeah, I mean, we know the answer, but do you think Marvel could have actually gotten away with an hour 40-minute Black Panther 2 that was all about the nation and Shuri and the Queen trying to come to grips with Black Panther's death and have no villain, have that be the ending, right? I mean, you go through a lot of the same emotional beat, or some of the same story beats. You can even have the Queen die, and like still do that if you really need to get her out. But like, yeah, I feel like I said, like it just feels like they should have gone one way or another, and the movie fights itself too much. Like, there's nothing in it where I'm like, I would storm out of the theater.
Well, so for me, I think also and that's part of the allure of the movie, is that because the subject matter is dealing with, loss, right? And going through all those emotions and going through the stages of grief and going through all of that, like, there's just so much going on in this movie that I think that, one watch might not be enough. You might need to watch this in like one more time or a few more times to kind of really get maybe nuances and pick up, things might make sense if it was something you kind of missed because of that, odd pacing that the movie had at times. And, just kind of all of the stuff it was throwing at you at once. But I think, to Kevin's point of, I really loved that the movie started on a somber moment and remembering and, basically kind of giving fans that moment on screen where people mourned. And then at the end, we have that kind of, that we have it again, but this time we have it a little bit wiser, a little bit, we've done that. We've done it. We've gotten through it. Right. We might not be the same. It'll still hurt, but we've gotten through it. So.
Yep.
Yeah, man. When that faded to black, damn, I was like everything that I didn't really dislike anything that had come before, but anything I was lukewarm on, I was like, man, I'm at least going out on this high note, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
and then, Ryan, you can take it from here.
So, what's the phrase like? Once is fine, twice might be a coincidence, three is a pattern. Is that the phrase? You guys know what's happening, right?
Yeah.
We have the Avengers, who are mostly gone. Right? At this point, most of the actors are gone. They're building up this like kind of the West Coast Avengers, the second batch of Avengers, right? She-Hulk, Moon Knight.
The new Avengers.
Right? Hawkeye. Right?
Mighty
Avengers, whatever you want
Avengers.
to call them. We have the Young Avengers. Those are all coming from the TV shows. All right? Ironheart, Miss Marvel, who the hell else? Kate Bishop.
Yeah, Hawkeye too.
Patriot from Falcon Winter Soldier, right?
Wiccan and
Wiccan,
maybe.
Yeah, sure. If they get introduced, yeah. I wonder if
Scar.
Scar is going to take the place of
Hulkling,
whatever the Hulkling. Just smash those two characters into one. But a fourth group has now emerged. Iron Man's daughter from Endgame, who is not in the comic books. Thor's daughter from Love and Thunder, who is not in the comics. And now T'Challa's son, T'Challa, from the post-credit scene of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, who is not from the comics. Kevin, we are going to get the Children of the Avengers as the core Avengers team in about 12 years. That will be the day that I am out. That will be the day where I hang on my hat and thank you, Marvel. It's been a good ride. We have gone from, extremely accurate movies based on the comic origins of these characters to what we're going through now, but still good. There's still a quality there, to pure fanfic, pure fake characters, things that do not exist from the comic books, things that are completely sourced from outside the comic books, and that is the point where I have zero interest. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you feel the same? Do you think this is where this is going? Because this is where this is going in my mind. We have the replacements for the Avengers. They're not going to recast. They're not going to reboot. They're not going to restart.
But guess what?
They're just going to keep going, and it's going to be.
You have
the
replacements for the Avengers. They're called the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, the Defenders, who am I forgetting? My God, there's.
Sure.
Like, why? You've got such a rich catalog of characters. Why? You don't need to make up any new characters. They're made for you.
Do you think I'm right, though? Do you think that's where they're going? Because this is a pattern. This is a pattern.
Okay, you're going to have to cast an act and say, and then the first card on the screen is going to say 20 years later, and you're going to have a movie to cast all of those kids as like fighting adults. Like this kid from Black Panther is going to be like the new T'Challa.
Yeah, this is not tomorrow. This is not soon. We have a while before this is going to happen, but this is what this is setting up. Do you agree or disagree? Everyone, do you agree or disagree? Because I think it's fucking obvious what the goal here is, and I fucking hate it.
Quick question.
I hate it.
Quick question. Do you like Damien?
Yeah, he's a real comic character.
Do you like John?
Real character from the comics.
Okay. you realize that despite it being from an original medium, it's now grown in another medium. It's now its own universe, its own thing.
It's fine.
It doesn't have to rely on the stuff that prior. It can feed from it, yes, but it's going to have its own stories. It's going to grow. Comic books from that we're reading now are just fanfic from kids that read comics 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Animation has had a very good track record of making characters because they are done by some of the same people that have worked on the comic books. The movies and TV shows, not quite the same level.
But the thing is it's not a bad they're not doing it from a perspective of wanting to ruin it. They're doing it from a perspective of how can we make this go further? How can we make this brand expand?
Of course.
So it's not.
Of course, they're not trying to ruin it.
They don't give.
They're ruining it for me.
It doesn't matter whether or not it's for you. It's what's going to bring more people in. The younger people generation is bigger.
The fake child of Black Panther is going to bring more people to the movie theaters.
It'll bring people to the movie theaters.
The fake daughter of Iron Man is going to bring people to the movie theaters. These characters that don't exist.
It's going to bring moviegoers to the movie theaters.
Maybe. I mean, sure, but I get 2 fucks about that. I'm saying for me, this will be the point where I'm out.
And
like FF, X-Men, Young Avengers, all real characters, sounds great. Fake characters, I'm out. That's where you lose me. That's where I'm out.
But they're not fake characters.
Nope. Of course they are.
They're real.
They're not from the comics.
They're characters from this universe.
Yeah, they're not characters from the comics, so they're not real characters. They're not real comic book characters. No, they're characters. They're movie characters, which is fine. But they're not comic book characters.
But you call them fake characters. They
are. They're fake characters. They are not. They do not exist in the comic book world. Like you can have random other side bits and stuff show up. Like you got to make like this random cop and shit like that. Like I don't care if you're gonna try to sell me a movie with the children of all the original Avengers. You can fuck right off. Okay.
So what happens when they become continuity?
Yeah.
They'll put him in the comics for sure. Yeah. At some point, they'll put him in the comics. Yeah.
And then they won't be fake.
Doesn't matter. Too late at that point.
So coming back to the mid-credits scene.
Yeah, but that's how I hated it. Did you hate it for other reasons?
I hated it because it was terrible. Dude, it was going from that ending to where the fade out to that is like going from a hand job to being kneed in the groin in like the space of 5 minutes.
Ryan literally almost shot water through his nose at that point.
I mean, it was that scene was because as soon as it resumed and it was back on her sitting at the fire, I went, oh no. because it was like such a perfect ending, and then to come back to that, I already my spider sense was already going. As soon as it came back up on her, I was like, oh no. And then I mean, that was so bad. You might as well have had that kid look in the camera and wink at the audience at the very last shot of the movie. They were one step away from doing that.
Oh, he probably.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Well, it answers the question of how do you replace Black Panther? Right? Just make another Black Panther. Make his kid. Okay, sure, that's fine. Yeah, I mean recasting is even such a better idea now. Like it was a better idea before the movie. It's such a better idea after the movie. Yeah, boy, I'm so not excited to see the future kids of the Avengers in the big screen in 2035.
We might, if we're all still here, we can worry about it then. How about that?
I'm not the only one that thought this, right? Oh, that's the very first thing I thought when I saw this. I was like,
the scene's fine if it wasn't in that location. If it was inside the house or if it was done elsewhere, but not at that location. I think
I would argue it's not fine. Like, oh, by the way, here is your brother's secret child that we've all known about. We've just kept it from you. Like, oh, okay. All right, cool. Yeah, let's get on with it. I mean, it's not fine.
We do that shit all the time. Like that shit happens all the time. Like,
yes, in the real world it happens, but this is a movie about a made-up family. And
it does, yeah. So made-up family doing real shit. Okay, fine, done. Like again, I get where they're going. I know exactly what they're doing. I have kids that are super excited to see these movies and want to see these things, and that's perfectly fine. It doesn't need to, like, guess what? They're going to be the ones that enjoy it, not us, and that's fine.
Yeah, Ryan.
Like,
I hope they enjoy it. That's fine. I'm not going to go see it.
Like, as long as they try and continue to do the best possible movies and make these things, you know, with passion and like, I mean, look at Star Wars. Like, we have so much great Star Wars content now that the floodgates have kind of been opened up. We had a little bit of rocky at points, but like,
I think you're missing my point here. Like the answer is to not continue this continuity forever. The idea of taking away characters like Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, regardless of how important they were before, how important they become in the history of film and comic books in the modern day, and removing those characters from the equation and replacing them with shitty copycats is just not acceptable. Like, you can get to the point where enough time has passed where you just redo these again. You know, if DC was like, the future of our movies is going to be, and look, I like Damien and John, but if they said the future of our movies is Damien and John, I'd be like, what the fuck are you thinking? No, Superman is Clark Kent, Batman is Bruce Wayne. Those are the characters. You want to bring in other characters and have various stories, and you could do that. That's fine. But if there is a movie with his Iron Man's daughter as Iron Man, Iron Woman, or whatever, T'Challa's son T'Challa, Prince T'Challa, son of T'Challa, son of T'Chaka. Kevin's just rubbing his eyes as Black Panther. And who was the other one? Oh, and Thor's daughter, fucking worthless. Like, no, fuck the fuck right out of here. No. Why would you deprive your children and their children of the real characters that this all comes from?
You're forgetting where those characters came from in this universe. They're building a longer, bigger universe than we've ever experienced before in cinema. They're going to go wherever the fuck they want with it, and they're going to make a shit ton of money. And you're spouting off stuff that's like, dude, seriously, you're screaming like old man. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And the thing is,
at some point this cools off. Like, we're already seeing it. Phase 4 is not.
But that's the thing, is it could cool off before that even happens.
I sure hope it does.
And if
I
that's
really
the case, then that's the case. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you have to look at what they're attempting to do for the first time in cinema. They're trying to make a.
This is what I think they are doing. I'd love to hear another reason, because I think this is exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, they're building it because they're building a huge, giant world that spans decades. It's never been done in cinema ever. They started it how long has it been going on? Over 10 years, right? My son is old as my son is 2008, right?
Yep.
So they've been going at this for almost 15 years and building this for almost 15 years. It's a monumental thing that they've done. And the thing
but here's the great thing. Comic books and movies are fiction. They don't have to live in any sort of real world. They just restart. They just reboot. They just cast new actors. They just keep this going. Like, nobody wants to see these. Nobody wants these random ass characters in 10, 12 years. And that's what I said. They've got time, right? They've got the FF. They got X-Men. They got plenty of real characters they can do stuff with for a long time. But every movie, we are dangerously closer to just like, they're taking the names, they're taking and sometimes the powers, and that's it. And it's like okay, like look at this list. This is the Phase 4 list, right? Okay, let's remember what's come out in Phase 4. This has been the last 2 years: Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, No Way Home, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder, Wakanda Forever, WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Werewolf by Night, which we actually didn't talk about. Werewolf by Night was really good. And then the Guardians holiday special is coming up. How many of those are great? How many of those are great? Personally, like 2, right?
I mean, if you're talking movies,
2.5. I mean, out of all those,
there's a fair amount that are decent.
How many are great?
We really enjoyed the WandaVision. We really enjoyed She-Hulk. We enjoyed No Way Home. We enjoyed Multiverse of Madness, right? We liked the Werewolf by Night special, right?
Yeah. So
like the ones that did.
It's a pretty small.
But that's the thing
it's a pretty weak. It's a pretty weak couple years.
But that's
the Marvel stuff.
It's been a weak couple.
It's a lot. It is fucking three times as much as they've had prior.
Well, yeah,
that's not a good track. That's not a great track.
But you have to also look at what happened to society during that time. We didn't go to the theaters for almost a year and a half.
Doesn't matter. That didn't change how the movies are. That didn't change the quality of the movies. I'm just saying, like I don't want this. If what the hell's next? I don't even know what the hell movie's coming out next. Ant-Man's got a real kid, so that's fine.
It's got his daughter in it.
If Peter Quill has a baby in Guardians 3, I'm gonna fucking vomit on all over the theater. Okay, I'm going to throw up on the person in front of me.
Fucking Jackson Pollock.
If Quill and Gamora have a kid at the end of Guardians 3, I will fucking shit over.
It won't be Quill
before I leave the theater.
It won't be Peter and Gamora. It'll be Drax and Mantis.
Jeez.
But isn't this is all kind of just based on your assumption of what's going to happen, though?
Of course.
But like, I'm torn.
I know I'm right.
But I'm torn because the way I look at it, the Black Panther ending to me was not only predictable, it actually makes sense to me.
Yeah.
In its own point of view. Because the fact that I knew what she was going to say at the moment she didn't show up in the funeral. But the second part was it's basically an extension of the relationship between Black Panther and Nakia. They were lovers from the first one. We knew that coming in.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for them to have a child, especially in Haydn, because he is going to be the next king of Wakanda. And he will become the Black Panther because it's handed down through the kingship. So to me, that all makes sense. Like that all is just going to happen regardless, and it makes sense and keeps the character growth moving forward. Whether he joins the Avengers or not is complete other shit that I don't care about, because until it happens, it doesn't matter to me. This is just growth on the character that exists that we have now.
Yeah.
Future
what ifs at this point are just kind of like, we don't know. Like, yeah, it could eventually go to that, and it might turn to shit, and it might not. Like, we don't know.
Yeah. Just let it turn to shit if it does.
Like, if it's going to turn to shit, then, like, yeah, we'll all walk away. But if it's actually, not too half bad, then I'm fine. Right? Like,
well, sure, of course. But with this, the name, I mean, that's the Iron Man had a kid, and I was like, sure, okay, whatever. Thor had a kid, I'm like, well, that's fucking stupid. All right, we'll never see her again, at least.
Yeah, but
when the kid named T'Challa, I was like,
but the difference is the other two kids have no lineage.
I see it. I see what you're trying to do here, Marvel.
Thor didn't even have a kid. That's adopted.
Right. She's not God.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I'm just saying. I see what you're doing here, Marvel.
And that's the thing. I
see what you're doing.
Is if they can...
I see what you're doing.
They're planning the long game. If the long game works for them, it works for them. If it's not, then it's just threads that are just going to hang there forever.
It's fine.
Well, Ryan, I mean, I think one of the things that we're bumping up against, we meaning the audience who also reads comics, is there is no change in comics. There's the pretense of change. But when you're casting live action movies with real actors who get older and move on, you can't just maintain a continuum of fiction that never, there are adventures, but it never truly goes anywhere.
Yeah.
So would you want, I guess for everybody, not just Ryan, would you want Captain America to be like James Bond, where we just constantly have a new Cap movie like every 3 years, and it's just a new actor whenever? When Chris Evans is done, we bring in guy X, and when he's done, we bring in Y.
I'm okay with characters getting killed off in the movies and actually being killed off, right? I think you either do the James Bond thing and you just have new people come in and fine, and you just go about your business, or at some point you go, okay, we're going to come back just like Spider-Man and Batman and Superman and every other character, and we're going to start again. You could do new stories, you could change things up. Their relationships could be different. You don't have to tell the same story again, obviously, but you do it again. I'm fine with either way. The idea of the growth of the characters is good within the context of the story, and I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with them having kids if I thought that was the end of it. If I thought, like, well, Iron Man dies, but he had this kid, and they're just kind of going to ride off into the sunset, right? Or, oh, Thor's now, we're never going to see Thor again. Him and his daughter are off doing this thing, and that's where the story ends. Fine. But that's not what's happening. That's my concern. So I would rather have either of those other two examples than this, because you eventually are going to lose these real characters. And Marvel and DC have the same problem. After your core team, it's a pretty sharp drop till you get to, look, yeah, maybe you could strike fire a 10th time with another Guardians-like team and it again become super popular, but odds are it's not going to happen. You're going to have to go back to those original characters at some point. And would you cut off future fandom from those characters? You're never going to see a Spider-Man again. You're never going to see Captain America again or Iron Man again. Like, nah, no way. No fucking way.
Well, I think that the only issue with the Bond method is if the characters are self-contained, it works. If the universes of those characters are self-contained in the sense of like it's just Captain America that we're dealing with, right? Like we have Nolan's Batman, right? I think that movies in general are, we had the whole Spider-Man thing where they had Tobey Maguire and then they had Andrew Garfield and then they had, Tom Holland. And they felt like, oh, well, we can't do this because it's already been restarted so quickly. Right. And I think that, again, it's where do you draw that line? Right. Like when's too soon to do a new version of this character? I think Warner Brothers potentially has some standing with trying to do something that is, universe building, right? Where we have Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Flash, all that stuff in that general thing, and have other stuff working at the same time to show kind of that these are just stories being told and it's different things. But no, they'll come back to those characters because, legally they have to make a Spider-Man movie. Otherwise they lose the rights. Disney won't, but, like Sony has to make a Spider-Man movie. So, again, I think it's a lot of stuff that has to go into it. But I think it's just how these stories are told and where these stories evolve. If it's shit, it's shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
I don't care if
obviously there's a good chance it could be really good, and maybe I'll be all about whatever these characters' names are.
MCU J2,
MCU 2,
MCU 2,
yeah. But concerned for the future.
No, I think that again, if you look at like the Star Wars movies and how kind of the passing of the torch and all that stuff with the last three, right, where we're trying to establish these new things and stuff like that. I think that there's a lot going on, and you're going towards a bigger audience with these films.
Well,
and so
there can't be a bigger audience than the biggest audience of all time. It's not a bigger audience,
but it's one of those things where, I think that people just are going to, like, again, I think, will people get tired of it? Maybe, right? Like, or we're feeling burnt out already. But again, it's where do you find that balance? Where's the content work? What what level of content is the best, right? Because I still haven't watched Andor. Like for
No, yeah,
you know,
no, and this is everything. Yeah, there's so much stuff I
Right.
haven't finished. I haven't finished Andor. I haven't finished Lord of the Rings. Like it's and it's all fine. Like it's not like I'm like sitting here like screaming from the top of the roof like, oh, end it all, it's all crap. Nah, it's all fine. Like whatever, it's just all kind of fine. Very specifically with this, I fear that this is the direction they're going in, and really do not want them. I want them to phase out most of these characters, focus on the FF and X-Men for a decade or whatever, 8 years or whatever the hell they're going to do, and then just start over again, and then just bring back the original guys and bring back the original characters. Because I don't want to, if they're going to keep doing movies, I want another Captain America movie with Captain America, with Steve Rogers, Captain America. Yeah, sure, Falcon's fine, but he's not Captain America, right? I want another Iron Man movie. I'd want another Black Widow movie or Hulk movie or stuff like that. Eventually they're going to. So don't give me fucking Marvel babies. Like I don't want those characters to be the named superhero going forward. That's my biggest fear. Anyway,
I still think we can agree that scene should not have been shot on the beach.
I mean, it doesn't matter either way to me. The results of it was upsetting enough no matter where they shot it. Final thoughts. Look, I actually feel like I sound way more negative on this movie than I am. Like, I didn't hate it. I'd say it's probably like a B or a B minus, like kind of what I thought of the first one. Oh, and I hated they brought Killmonger back too. Oh, that was like the one reaction the audience had had. I think the audience, like our audience, actually was like, "Great, Killmonger's back."
No,
well, at least he was only in it for one scene.
It fit.
Killmonger sucks.
It fit what they were going for with the anger.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sure. They bring in the Jedi Knight. They bring in their Obi-Wan for for a minute.
It's a movie dealing with loss, and so there's there's definitely things that bring back Killmonger. Fine, it's like it was. They brought Killmonger back in a part that was that fit, right? It fit what was going on. It fit where that character was. Michael B. Jordan did the role perfectly. So like it was Killmonger. So
yeah, it's fine, whatever. Yeah,
I think the issue the issue I had with that whole scene was I was fine that it was Killmonger. I just didn't really feel like it was that astral plane that we had gotten from the first one, where he's Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa was in that astral plane, and it felt like he was connected to it. But again, I mean, it could have just been because it didn't feel that way because it was broken because of all the whatever that flower was that she needed to clone, even though
No, it's definitely the astral plane, because if you watched it, when she starts, she's underwater, and she immediately goes out of water. She's not wet.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So something's different.
No, I know. It felt. I don't know. I felt more connected to where, like, the Black Panther spirit comes from, or wherever that kind of belief system was in the first film. I think with this one, it was just, again, maybe it was just because it was all rage and fire and inside the throne room, and it didn't really. It felt very constrained. It didn't feel like we were connected, how we were connected before. Maybe that was what they were going for.
Yeah.
But I think that the hard part was you have all of these plants that then she clones from a plant that's a version of the plant, but for the Atlanteans. Why don't you just take the Atlantean one? I don't know.
Well, did she clone it? No, I thought she just made it. She like 3D printed it or something.
Yeah, but
she made it from the rock. Yeah,
she made it from the bracelet, right? Because she had the
Oh, that's right. I had like the hemp or whatever. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's right.
yeah, I don't know. It like I think that was the only kind of like I know why they went with that, but
Yeah.
Overall, again, the movie had a lot going. It had an uphill climb because it was a sophomore film, and then it had a vertical climb from the loss of Chadwick Boseman and what that really did for kind of I think where the movie was originally. So, but I think they did okay.
Yeah, some fun stuff, some less fun stuff.
We got the disc flip guy back.
Yeah, it was great. Oh yeah, and Manny's fucking as always steals the show. He's great.
And the costume,
he's fantastic.
The costume design was fantastic. Like still, like boom, knocking it out of the park there.
I want like I said, I just wanted him like fighting a bunch of Atlanteans for like an hour. Like, didn't care about the rest of it.
You really do love your man-ape. Huh? You really do love your man-ape.
It's great. He's still the best part of the movie. like he's totally the best part of the movie. He's awesome. Yeah. All right. We are gonna wrap up. Thank you, Toby, for attempting.
He really didn't say anything, or because I didn't hear anything.
He barely said anything. It's fine. Yeah. I'm sorry for everyone.
Sorry, like Toby fans who thought he was going to be on.
Internet connection just can't work with these recordings. We got to test and see if I can find some other way to do this because it just doesn't work for them. We'll be back next week, hopefully to talk about less depressing shit.
No, it's all.
Although we're headed to the end of the year, and there's like no comic news. It's like, I mean, I got a couple things from the last few weeks we'll touch up on, but it's
we put our final orders in for Danger Street.
Yeah, it's light. There's not a lot to talk about.
Do you want to talk about Batman, our Lord and Savior?
We'll find something. Thank you. In the meantime, to Joe Duff, Kelsey May, Craig Anderson at ClearPathCoaches.com, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast, and Talon Bray. Thank you all for your continued support at patreon.com/comic conspiracy. Kick us a couple bucks over there. And everyone else, there's lots more of you that donate at the lower levels. We do appreciate it. ComicConspiracyPodcast.com and Apple Podcasts is where you can find our previous episodes. Go check those out. You can head to comicsconspiracy.biz and purchase stuff from our store, our wonderful store, where we have hundreds of thousands of items that will ship to you, or you can pick up. ConspiracyBrock.com. Brock's blog.
It's a website that's out there right now.
Website where, he'll get some stuff out there again one day. Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension Podcast, Charlie's Doctor Who Podcast, Busy Talking Doctor, and Kevin's got the weekly interview series called Between the Panels of Fan-Based Press. Interview some cool people over there. Go check that out. And my wife, Leanne, I don't know, Brock's saying something. My wife, Leanne, is at leannehill.com. And you can see her artwork at etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt. Brock?
Oh, I was going to say after you did the Twitters. So do the tweeters. You know, that place that's...
Twitter's still around?
Like,
I don't...
It's fucking imploding. I don't know whether or not it's glorious or whether or not it's something to be so scared of. But watching
been on in 3 weeks. 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Unravel
I don't remember.
Just... I don't know.
From an outside point of view, it's fascinating.
You're not on?
No, I've not been on... No, what day did you buy it?
I don't fucking know.
October something? I have not been on since the day you bought it. Oh. I had to check the store account, but that's it. Like we never get replies on the store account.
Oh, it's a shit show.
No. The second Musk bought it, I'm out. I'm out.
You haven't gotten your $8 for our official check mark for the store?
No. I've seen all this. It's pretty funny. Head over to Geekbox. Yeah, .net. It's .com. You can
.net.
Listen to us. We'll be talking about random crap, random other nerd shit. I think me and Justin will probably talk about Panther tomorrow night too. talk a little Black Panther.
We're not going to talk God of War.
And Manga Nations. Our good friends talk about manga and anime. You can check those guys out.
And then
nice attempt, Toby. Kevin, thank you for joining us. Lane, thank you for joining us. Brock, thank you as always.
Oh no, I have the thing. I was.
Oh, what's your thing?
I actually sat down, recorded with Julian Titus, virtually, a Horizon Forbidden West kind of overview talk about the game, and stuff like that.
Nice.
It's supposed to be out this week, I think on the 16th. So is that Wednesday?
Nerds Without Pants.
Nerds Without Pants. They're having their Horizon Forbidden West specials. So
fantastic.
That'll be dropping this week. I'll plug it next week once it's down. But I find out some interesting stuff, so listen all the way through. So it was really fun to record.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
I was on a video game podcast.
Yeah,
that's weird.
I don't remember. Oh, the rumor of a Horizon MMO. Are you dead? Is it over for you? You gonna
a Horizon MMO? Oh yeah, I saw that news. I was like,
rumor.
I'm not hyped for the virtual one or the VR one that they're doing.
No, fuck VR.
And I read some article. Like I talk about it in the other one, but I read some article about like, oh, we need a video game about the villains from the second one. I'm like, no, we fucking don't. I don't need a game where I'm playing those douchebags. Like, no. So yeah, I think that, like, I think video games that are very impactful not only have great like gameplay and stuff like that, but also have great storytelling. And I think that, those ones really rise to the top. Horizon just has the issue of coming out when another big game comes out. So like the first one came out when Breath of the Wild came out, and it was overshadowed by Breath of the Wild. But it has that kind of that staying power because it's been such a good game. And then this time it was Elder Scrolls. Or Elden Ring, whatever that one was.
Elden Ring. Yeah.
So I think that, like, at least Horizon's been consistent and it's been overshadowed. So, but we go into all that. So check out Nerds Without Pants, their Horizon Forbidden West special.
Sweet. And that's it. We're done.
Are you sure?
Goodbye, everyone.